Alright, so when you go spend collector level money, there's a certain expectation that comes with it. Not just for detail, but you also want consistency. JoyToy Ultramarines are interesting because they don't really rely on the spectacle that they are to make an impression. They rely on their cohesion. And once you put a full squad together, that approach completely changes the ownership experience. So instead of breaking these down one by one, I want to talk about what it's like to owning an actual squad. From army builders to named characters, and why this line feels fundamentally different from a lot of modern collector releases. Alright, and for the purposes of this video, we'll be using Remus Ventus, somebody will correct me, not one but two intercessors, a captain with a jump pack, and Brother Varus. This should give us a really good cross-section of the line, and more importantly, it lets us talk about consistency, which is where JoyToy either earns your trust or doesn't. And the first thing that hits, at least for me anyways, is how well they read as a team. The armor tones match across the squad, the scale's consistent, no one feels oversized or exaggerated in any way to steal your attention. Even the army builders feel intentional, not like filler. This is one of those setups where you put them on the shelf and immediately stop thinking about them individually and start thinking about how you're going to compose them together. And that's a really good sign. The two intercessors are the backbone of this display. They're sturdy, predictable in the best way, and confidently posable without feeling fragile or over-engineered. Joint tolerances are tight but never scary. Articulation feels deliberate rather than ambitious. These figures don't ask you for your attention, but they quietly establish trust. Remus feels like the natural focal point. He doesn't rely on oversized proportions or extreme detail to stand out. The paint apps are clean, the sculpt is sharp, it's not too noisy, and his presence feels earned rather than forced. He looks like somebody who belongs at the center of the squad, not only because he's louder, but because he's more composed. The captain with the jump pack brings a verticality into the display, and this is where JoyToy really shows its confidence. The balance is solid, the flight stand feels like an enhancement and not a requirement. Even grounded, he doesn't feel awkward or top-heavy, which is something a lot of jump pack figures and characters with big backpacks don't often accomplish. And then there's Brother Varus. This is the figure that single-handedly changes the entire mood of the shelf. He has a darker palette, heavier sculpt, has all the ceremonial details. He doesn't need to do all the dynamic posing to command your attention. He just stands there and the scene feels more serious. If one figure is going to pull your eye away from the rest, it's him, and it feels like that's exactly right. And speaking of consistency, let's talk about QC. This is where JoyToy really separates itself. Across all of these figures, all the tolerances are tight and uniform, all the paint applications are consistent, nothing feels rushed, brittle, or uneven. There's no sense that one figure came from a different production mindset than the others. That consistency is the real premium here. Not perfection, but reliability. The single biggest compliment I can give these figures is I don't think about them individually anymore. I'm thinking about their display and how big I want to make it. I'm not worried about their joints when they show up. I'm not worried about stress marks or bad QC. They cooperate. And after dealing with the releases that demand a lot of patience lately, these are refreshing. So with all that being said, the JoyToy Ultramarines don't feel too flashy. They don't feel too experimental. They feel confident. And the squad works not because any one figure is necessarily trying to impress you. It's because none of them need to. They arrive finished, consistent, and ready for display. And honestly, that's awesome. Alright, so those are my thoughts. I'm curious to hear about yours. Tell me about them in the comments. While you're there, maybe think about giving me a like, but only if you liked my content. And maybe think about giving me a sub. And remember, dance on your enemies' graves like no one's watching.
You break my heart.